a very big welcome to the next in the Accelerate programme of webinars for the Kent and Medway Growth Hub. For those of you that are interacting with the Kent and Medway Growth Hub for the first time, a very big welcome to you. Growth Hubs are basically really the first port of call that you should have for local business support within a particular area. And the Kent and Medway Growth Hub is a really excellent resource and organisation if you're looking to do that. So it's great that you've joined. The Growth Hubs will run lots of different advisory services, ranging from events, so the events that we do here, through to physical events. So we've got this is a virtual webinar, but we've got a series of face-to-face events that are happening as well, and the next event is going to be happening next Thursday in Medway, and we'll pop out a link to the Eventbrite channel which you can follow, so you'll be able to see what's happening with that, and that's a really good place to do that. There's also an opportunity to actually find out more about the Growth Hub. And the Growth Hub is a great place where you can actually phone up and speak to a real human being, which is a rare thing in these days. And those people are called the navigators. They will be able to provide you with all sorts of information about what sort of business support is available locally in your area within Kent, more broadly, regionally, across Kent, and also national programmes as well. So it's a really good tool to be able to do that. Gives you a good opportunity, and I think that it's a great resource as a business owner to be able to use and to be able to do that. So so now moving on to our event, and I think that you know, this year in particular is a year where business confidence has really been rocked. I think that there is a lot going on politically, both in the UK and internationally, and I think business owners you know are seeing that confidence, you know, is a big challenge. We've definitely seen that with the businesses that we interact with, that I think that they see, you know, a real challenge around confidence. I think it's fair to say that when we speak to businesses, probably the biggest issue that they have is that they want to make more sales, and you know, and I think that it seems like a really simple thing to do. But it's actually, you know, it's a process that it's you know, it's probably the biggest issue for almost all businesses. You know, there are a few businesses out there that are crying out to make less sales. You know, I think that's definitely a fair fact. And our speaker, Andrew Priestley, is a renowned expert in this area, and I think he's going to give a really exciting and an interesting insight into kind of sales development. So I'm going to ask Andrew to do his own introduction, but you know, it's fair to say that Andrew has got a huge amount of experience within this. You know, not just as a coach. So he's been coaching now for I think for nearly 30 years around this. But also as an author, so he's published a number of publications, you know, around this, and so I think comes from that. And he's also a lecturer at a really leading business school. So he's got a really exciting caliber, and I think he's going to be able to bring some really exciting, you know, really exciting perspectives today. So you know, so I think this is going to be a great presentation. Just to let you know that at the end of the session, we will be running our Q&As. What we'll also do is that if you want to put something in the chat, please do. We will put out a survey, and we'll put out a poll. So we've got a poll that's just come up, which is going to test out your Zoom skills, just finding out information about where you found us, and where you found information about the event. And other than that, I am going to leave you and hand over to Andrew. I'll be listening in the background, and if anything happens, Andrew, I'll jump back in. But I would like to now welcome our speaker, Andrew Priestley.
Thanks very much. Hey, I just want to say, firstly, thanks very, very much for inviting me to jump on this call today. Um, I'm a little bit biased because I live in Kent for a start off, right? And I think it's a marvelous place to live. And I was told, Jeff, you might know this, but I think there's more millionaires or more £1 million companies in Kent than anywhere else outside of London in the UK.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know that specific fact, but I do know that there are a lot of serious entrepreneurs in Kent. A lot of high growth businesses. It's a real hub of entrepreneurial activity, and so I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, yeah. So I jumped on the every year the House of Commons Parliamentary Library puts out a business performance report, right, which the politicians look at. So if they want to know how the country's going, that's what they do. So I had a look at the stats for Kent. Kent seems to be a little bit more robust than other parts of the country. I think it's the southeast and the proximity to Europe, perhaps, but yeah, so I think the short story is we're living in a good part of the planet. We're living on a nice neck of the world where there seems to be, as you say, a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of growth down here, which is fantastic. Um, over the talk, you'll get an idea of who I am and my background. But as Jeff said, uh, I've been business coaching for 27 years. Nearly coming up for 30, but working with businesses a lot longer than that. And I started out, believe it or not, as a school teacher, and I was also surfing and I was playing in a band. And when I was at university, I started the unit. It was a brand new university, and I started the university a newspaper as well. And publishing got in my veins. So I really, really loved it. I loved the layout, the design, I loved the marketing of it, all of that stuff. And so when I graduated as a school teacher, and I actually did my degree in reading psychology, and so I started a surfing newspaper, and I started an entertainment and a lifestyle newspaper, and and it was sort of a side hustle. I was doing this on weekends and things like that. And what happened was that I racked up 10 years as a school teacher, and I was a school teacher in a primary school in a remote part of Australia. So I had 11 students ranging from reception through to about grade 4. That was it. There was 11 kids. So it was a multi-age environment. I racked up 10 years. And at this point, my surfing newspaper and the entertainment newspaper were doing okay. So I took long service leave, 3 months long service leave and 3 months long service pay, and I went full time at it. And subsequently, I resigned. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not because I actually went to a high school reunion with some of my chums recently, and some of them have retired really well after a long career in teaching. But anyway, I did resign after 10 years, and I went into that business and I started this newspaper, um, and I thought it was about creativity, right? I thought it was about designing newspapers and press and print and all that sort of thing. And I very quickly found out that it was actually a sales engine. It was, if I didn't sell anything, the paper didn't get put out, basically. So I had to sell advertising. Um, and what happened to that newspaper? It consumed every hour that I could probably imagine. I was working 12 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week. And after 6 months, I hated that business, absolutely hated it. And I shut that business down. I exited with $250,000 worth of debt. And I started a more family-friendly business based on family values. And so what that meant was that I could start late, finish early. I could take my kids to school. I could pick them up. I could go and do sports days. I could do tuck shop. I could do reading dad, which was unusual at the time for a dad to come in and hear kids read. Um, Being an ex-teacher, I loved all that. And and then I started a marketing and advertising business, which again was sales. As I discovered, it was this actual sales engine. And and then We had some fantastic success with that, won a lot of awards. We broke a few records, which was even better. And at the end of that, somebody said, "I think you'd make a good business coach." And I thought, "What's a business coach?" I had no idea what a business coach was. And people were coming to me all the time saying, "Hey, how did you do this? How did you do that?" So my friend said, "Well, business coaching is what you're doing now, except you get paid to do it, like a consultant." I thought it was a consultant. He said, "No, it's a coach, slightly different." And at the same time, I went back to university and I completed my degree in industrial organizational psychology. And when I graduated, I started working with high-end compliance sectors like the military, medical, aviation, government, finance, and mining, for example. And most of my clients, if I take, say, the military or the mining, for example, or aviation, on a good day, if something goes wrong, it costs you a lot of money or somebody gets injured, but on a bad day, somebody dies. So it was quite stringent, and that's where I learned. That's where I cut my teeth coaching. I was working with leaders in those high-end compliance, and subsequently, you've got to do sales into those environments. Okay, and I wasn't a really good salesperson. I didn't think I was. I hadn't been trained formally. And I thought, well, how does this work? How does this work? But I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'll just go back slightly, ever so slightly. The name of this presentation is called Building Sales Confidence. Okay, and essentially, it's how to be more confident, competent, and effective in a frontline sales role. That's what I'm going to be talking about, and it presupposes that you've got good products and services that you're proud of. Okay. Because I've worked in industries and I've worked with clients who've got products and services that are rubbish, that they're not happy with, they don't understand. So I'm presupposing that you can put your hand on your heart and say, "Hey, what we sell is really good. It's a good product, it's a good service." Okay. So I was chatting with a couple of people saying I was going to do this workshop today, and the general feeling that came back was, "I hate selling. I hate sales." Right? It's not like I dislike sales. I hate sales. I actually hate sales. Um, so building sales confidence is probably not a bad title, and I'm going to unpack what that looks like, what that actually means. I don't know if you've got. We'll just test and see if the chat works for a moment. Okay. Just put in the chat if you can. What do you feel about selling? Let's just test and see if we see what we've got, what comes back. What do you feel about selling? What's your when I say I'm in sales, what is it, or what's salesmanship? What is selling to you? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel bad about it? Just put something in the chat so I can see. So April said, if I love the product, I love to sell it. Yeah, great. Yeah. If I believe in the product. Yeah. I think it's a given. You've got to believe in the product. You've got to like your product, right? Too many people that I talk to don't have that level of confidence. So building sales confidence starts with the fact, yeah, I've got something that's worth value to other people. Malcolm says, explaining what I do is fine. Putting a price on it is more awkward. Wow, okay, that's good. I like that one. Vera says, I don't like cold calling. Sarah says, selling is people for me. Professional services, it's unpredictable. Okay. Pauline says, I hate the rejection. Yep, I can understand that one. Lance says, I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable when it comes to discussing price. Yeah, I actually love that bit. I love that bit. And Lance, if I forget, just prompt me and a little bit later and say, hey, talk about price, positioning. Alan Area, I hope I got the name right. As long as you believe in the product and that you're presenting, it's all about building the confidence in the customer, and their investment in the product will yield the results they expect. Yeah, great. So those are great answers. There's a good cross section, right? Yeah, but I run into people say, I hate the selling part, right? So today what we're going to do is talk about how to be more confident, more competent and effective in a frontline sales role. So I'm going to also presume that A, you've got products and services that you're happy with and you're proud of, and also two, that you're in a frontline sales role. Okay. So think of it like this. If you want to build your sales confidence, right, you must change the way you think about selling and sales, right? If you want to build sales confidence, you must commit. This is what I believe. You must commit to helping your clients make an informed decision. So you'll understand that comment as I go through, but for me, I learned the hard way that if I want to sell something, I've got to help my client make an informed choice, an informed decision. The decision to buy is actually a chemical reaction in your client's head. It's actually not you. People say, "Oh, I wish I could control a sale." You can't control a sale. You can only control your behavior in the sale. But the decision to buy is actually a chemical reaction in the head of the other person. And I learned really early on that my job was to help, not to. When I talk to people about sales, they say, "Oh, it's I'm manipulating, or it's somehow tricking people," and I don't want to be. It goes to our myths about and our history about what salespeople are and how they land. There's a lot of Hollywood movies that portray salespeople really, really badly. But for me, and you'll understand why when I put this into a context, but for me, this is the one takeaway that I want you to take away from everything. You can actually build on this if you want to write this down somewhere. I personally have had success off this one idea, and that is to help my clients make an informed decision, right? Bad selling is not helping your client make an informed choice. If their choice is, you know what, I don't want to proceed, that's great. At least you know that you help them make an informed choice, right, for the right reasons. Okay. So we've covered off that what you sell represents genuine value, right? But it's also to help them make an informed choice. And the way that you do that is to find out exactly what do they want explicitly. And most sellers that I coach, it's implicit or it's implied what the benefit or the value is or what the client wants. But we want it to be explicit. And a very simple metric for this is if you say it, it's implicit, it's implied, and if they say it, it's explicit. So somebody walks into Curry's and they're looking at computers or they're looking at air conditioners or whatever it is, and the salesman says, so you want a computer? Well, that's implied, right? But if a customer comes in and says, I want a computer, that's explicit. And so you can't help someone make an informed choice unless you find out explicitly what they're struggling with, what they want, what they need. And that's to spend time. So the other thing that I want to be really, really clear about is that when I talk about sales, I've always gone for high-end sales. So I'm addressing my comments today to a sale that's big ticket, it's high value, it's multi-step, it's complex, and in most cases it's a considered purchase that the customer's making, right? And that might be a consultative or a strategic sale, right? But your customer needs to ask a lot of questions. They need to understand what the benefit to them is, right? And the sales that I did, it wasn't like an impulse situation where I'd rock up and say, "Hey, do you want to buy a computer?" And they say, "Yep, bang, there's the check." To me, that didn't happen. It's not a one and done thing. Usually, the person spent a lot of time looking at your website. They might have come in a couple of times. They might have downloaded brochures, whatever. But there's usually some multi-step aspect to it. So the sales that I did was, as I say, was big ticket, high value, multi-step, complex, considered purchases. And that's what I'm addressing my points to. Having said that, if your sales tick only a couple of those boxes, that's okay, because you'll still learn something about helping someone make an informed choice. Okay. So I promise today that you'll understand what helping someone to make an informed choice is all about. I promise you'll get that, right? So I want to be clear before we go too far down the track who this is for. And I made a list. I've got a list in front of me of who this is for. The people that I work with and I coach, they're qualified, they're experienced, they've got great products and services. Their products and services represent great value, tangible value, right? If it's professional services, they can deliver a remarkable result. It delivers the value that the customer wanted or needed, right? Their products and services, and this is probably an important one, their products and services are focused on a target or an ideal client, and they're focused on explicit needs, okay? Not implied needs, but explicit needs, okay? So if you when I worked in mining, for example, and you're working with someone who's you're providing coaching service to a professional service to someone who's working on a mining site where, for example, if the mining site has an unscheduled breakdown, for example, on average, it's £1 million a day, and the average time that the mining site is closed is 42 days, right? So you've got to be really sure what is it that they're trying to achieve. You've got to spend that time. So that's very much a complex, multi-step consultative sale, right? You've got to really elicit explicitly what is it they want and why is it that they want that, right? I'm going to assume that you're someone who is solution focused, that you're outcome focused, that you're results focused. Really important, right? That you can look at your products and services and says it delivers a remarkable solution. And I don't just say a solution, but a remarkable solution. And why remarkable? Because in business, you want to be visible, but you also want to be referable. So in my case, I don't do much marketing because I have an 83% referral business. So I have this pipeline of clients that just keep either repeating or referring. And that's happened for at least 27 years. I've had, as a coach, I'm in the top 2% of fee earners on the planet. And it's purely by referral, right? Because I focused on creating a remarkable solution for my clients. And I'm just give me a heads up here. Who here has a team? They have either a dedicated salesperson or you are the salesperson, but you've at least got a team. There's more than one of you. Are you a solopreneur or do you work with? Do you have a team on board? Just give me a heads up about that, just so I can get some feedback here, so I can make sure that my comments are tailored to your needs. So we've got solo. Yep. Team of 9, great. No team, just me. Yep. Okay, a bit of both, combination of both. Okay. So my comments are team of 3 to 4, but yep, great, but you don't have a dedicated salesperson. So you are the salesperson, okay? Okay. I'm going to go to slides in a moment, but I just wanted to, in fact, I might even go to a slide now just because that's usually pretty good. I'll just share that. That might help you as well. Share. Okay. Yeah, so who this is for, here we go. So you've got brilliant goods and services. You deliver impeccable or remarkable value, but you're good at what you do, but you need more of the right customer. You need more sales. You need to understand sales skills, sales processes, customer experience, etc. Right? This is who it's for. Okay. It's also for people who've got a great product, but they don't really understand their sales skills or the sales process, or they choke under pressure, right? I want to make a really, really important point, and you might want to make a note of this somewhere, that when when I'm coaching someone, I actually go and watch people sell and I get them to record their sales. And from that, we can learn a lot about their sales skills and we can learn a lot about their sales processes. Okay. But if I was to watch salespeople, selling just about anything. I don't care what it is, right? There's 4 things that typically happen, that can happen when I'm watching it. And make a note which one sounds like you, because I'm going to get you to write down in the comments in a moment, right? Typically, what I see with people who've never formally, incidentally, I need to ask, who's been formally trained in sales? Just tell me if you've actually had formal training in selling. I have had formal training in selling, but have you just copied someone? No training, no training, no. We got nope, no training. A little bit, no. I've had training, good. Yeah, no training. Yeah, okay. Right. So that's really helpful. So when I look at, I built it up over time during roles that I've had. Yeah, says April. That's how most people work, right? I would probably say that most people, and I'm going to talk about training in a moment, but most people I work with in sales have either learnt by observing someone else, or they try and follow a sales process that they've been told by someone in a company that this is how we do it, and just learn this method and away you go, right? But if I watch people apply their sales skills, I see them either overselling, and this is what most people fear. They hate the pushy salesman, right? So overselling is that pushy salesman, that pushy salesperson, right? And it's not just men, it's men and women. I see this do all the time, right? Where they actually oversell it. And I'm going to give you some context for a moment. But more than that, what I see is people undersell, right? And I've trained salespeople in Australia, in the US, in Europe, in the UK, in Asia, and they have different cultural styles for sure. But one thing that seems to be robust in every culture is overselling and underselling. But I tend to see more in the UK underselling. If you go to the US, for example, I would say they oversell, right? You may have found that, but there's 4 positions here. One is oversell, one's undersell, right? There is, of course, the sell. There's people who put forward an offer. There's an offer and an acceptance. They go through the contract, or they go through and do the sale part. That's that. But this is the one that I see most, and that is unselling. Okay, so you've got people who oversell, and then you've got people who undersell. So they go too subtle. And the unselling part can be that they don't find out what their customer wants and what they're struggling with, and what they actually need explicitly. And I'm going to keep coming back to this word explicit. Your customer has to be explicit. And if a customer can't be explicit, you've got to tease that out of them so you can help them make an informed choice. So those are the 2 big points that I'm coming back to. But unselling, I'll give you an example of selling just right, great selling. I go into the Apple store and I'm buying a phone. It's about 700 quid, and it was just frictionless. It was just seamless. I felt that I had the salesperson's full attention. I found that they tailored a product to my needs and what I was trying to do. They actually found out how I was using the phone and what I wanted to do with it. They teased out that I'm not really tech savvy. They figured out how I actually use the phone on my day-to-day, and they gave me a heads up about how I could possibly use the phone at a